Within the next few hours, we should certainly have a new Supreme Court justice, and the full Senate, they're set to vote to confirm Amy Coney Barrett. Now, once she's on the high court, she's going to jump right into significant issues. The justices, they'll hear a case that could get rid of Obamacare. The Senate has been in its final debate all weekend. Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell, he chose to take the low road. He chose to rub it in when it was his turn to speak.
We made an important contribution to the future of this country. A lot of what we've done over the last 4 years will be undone sooner or later by the next election. They won't be able to do much about this for a long time to come.
Even though Democrats don't have the votes to block Judge Barrett, they still took the opportunity to speak out about how this all went down.
The Senate has no business taking up a vote on a Supreme Court justice who is already committed to take away health care from millions of people and to take away Roe versus Wade and its protection from millions of women. We may not have the votes to stop them, but that does not change the fact that what the Senate Republicans are doing is wrong.
You got 220,000 people dead. You got about 1,000 people dying a day. You got businesses closing forever. And the highest priority for Mitch McConnell is stacking the courts.
So let's bring in our next guest. He one of 100 who will be casting their vote tonight. His will be a no vote. Let's bring in Senator Bob Casey, Democrat from Pennsylvania. You know, Senator, when in listening to the speeches, particularly what Senator McConnell had to say, this is all a sham. This was never about, doing the right thing in an election year, whatever else. This is all about getting her on the bench, certainly in time for election season, but also, most importantly, the week after the election, the Affordable Care Act.
Yeah, Richard, it's a rushed process because they want her there for November the 10th. That's the big date. That's the date when the Supreme Court will hear an argument that will determine the fate of the Patient Protection and Affordable Care Act. So that's why they're rushing, because they want this new justice to be on the bench so that she'll be part of the argument. If she misses the argument, she can't participate, and they want it to be a 6-3 court to strike down the Affordable Care Act, wiping out, for example, in Pennsylvania, protections for pre-existing conditions to 5.5 million Pennsylvanians.
I want to talk about that because we've opened up our phone lines many times. I've heard a lot of your constituents really worried. What does that mean? Does anybody know what it means? Would they be striking down a part of the ACA, the entire thing? And if they killed the whole ACA, what would be in its place? Does anyone know what the morning after could look like?
I think the morning after is certain to be not just chaos, but real trauma in the lives of so many Americans. In answer to your first question, they're not going to strike down part of it. This is an all or nothing circumstance. Number two is there is no replacement. Republicans in the Senate, and I've listened to them now for a decade, they've been talking about a replacement all these years, and they've never come up with one. Because you can't just say you're going to pass some resolution or some watered down bill. If you're going to replace what the Affordable Care Act did, you got to cover more than 20 million people. You got to make sure that everyone who has a pre-existing condition is covered. You got to be able to pay for that. Not easy to put that together. And you also have to recreate or design something that is equivalent to Medicaid expansion, which is, by the way, will be wiped out by this Supreme Court decision. Medicaid expansion is the reason that right now 840,000 people in Pennsylvania have health care. Most of the health care gains in our state were because of the expansion of Medicaid, and that would be wiped out. So no more coverage for 840,000 people in our state, not counting the people who have a pre-existing condition and get coverage through the exchanges. And I guess I'm just holding up a picture that I had on the floor early this morning at 12:30 a.m. in case anybody was watching the Senate floor at that hour. But I held up an enlarged version of this picture because the little girl in the middle of this picture right here is her name is Abby. Her mother, Erin Gabriel, wrote this statement for the group Little Lobbyists. And Abby is like a lot of children across the state and across the country. She has complex medical needs. Her life will be devastated if this ACA decision is successful and the right wing gets its way to destroy the Affordable Care Act.
Finally, I know you've heard all the debates around this, and Vice President Biden even spoke about this last night on 60 Minutes when asked about, well, what about court packing? He's got this blue ribbon commission that's going to look at it 6 months later, assuming he's elected. They'll bring back their findings. I got to admit, I felt uncomfortable with the idea of now we're going to change the number of justices. But, Senator, if we have a situation where more than 2/3 of this country believes in the ACA or women's right to choose or gay marriage, and these things are being undone, it's tyranny of the minority here. I can understand where there's going to be a lot of anger that the general public's interests aren't being represented by 9 people, or more specifically 6 people on one court. Do you think that maybe we ought to re-examine the Supreme Court, or wait to see how they rule before we say maybe we got to reconsider the math?
Well, I think you've seen just in the last 15 years, the Roberts Court has been, in my judgment, a corporate court. We can document now, for example, when a business interest is on the line, they win at least 70% of the cases. So when you have a court that is a corporate court, increasingly more right-wing, more corporate, I think you have to examine a lot of remedies for that. So I'm certainly open to a full and thorough examination of proposals to reform the court. That might, some may say that means adding justices. Some may say there are other ways to do it. But what we're living through now, or about to live through, is a more than 50-year body of work, if you can call it that, by the right wing, where they have been working on this for the last 50 years. And they're very, very close to achieving a 6-3 corporate right-wing extreme majority on the court. So this isn't happening by accident. This was paid for by tens of billions of dollars over the last 50 years. And that may warrant a response or a remedy commensurate with the gravity of the problem.
Finally, you know Pennsylvania politics better than almost anybody I know. A week from tonight, what's your sense how Pennsylvania goes? People are turning out in record numbers to vote here. What's your sense?
Well, the good news is we may be headed for an all-time record turnout for both Pennsylvania and the nation, and that's good. I've heard some people say we might have a higher percentage of eligible voters voting since 1960, which was always the high watermark in our state, and it's kind of gone down steadily. So that's good news. But I think when all the votes are counted, at least my view is that Joe Biden will carry Pennsylvania. We're a 3-point state in presidential races the last 20 years, so you have to expect it to be close. But I think he's going to win. And I think it will be evident election night that he won. That doesn't mean we're going to have 100% of the vote counted by midnight, but I think it'll be very clear from the county results how he is doing, especially when you compare the last couple of presidential elections.
Your lips to God's ears, Senator. I hope you're right. I appreciate a few minutes here, and keep up the good fight. Thank you. Coming up next, it is election season. That means we're going to have endorsements in several dailies who have never endorsed candidates or have only picked Republicans for decades. They're doing something they've never done before. They're endorsing a Democrat, specifically Joe Biden. We're going to show you how many there are, and also we'll be speaking with someone on the editorial board of the New York Times, and he'll explain the case against Trump that his paper is making.